not use the most popular trails and to try to do some social isolation by taking some of the lesser used trails. Now, Bullhead Trail is still a fairly popular trail, but it's not going to be as crowded as Rainbow Falls. So the Bullhead Trail and Rainbow Falls both go all the way up to Mount LeConte, to LeConte Lodge. We won't be doing that today for a few reasons. One, it's a little late in the day for me to go all the way up to the top of Mount LeConte and back down for a day hike. Two, I'm not in shape enough to do that yet. And three, what I really want to do is concentrate on some of the new overlooks and views that we have. Y'all know we had a big wildfire a couple years ago. Did a lot of damage and cost a lot of lives. But one of the other things that it did is it cleared up some of our views here in the Smokies. It cut out some of the underbrush, and now we get some pretty interesting views, especially along the Bullhead Trail. So we'll go up there, I'll get some pictures of that, maybe take some more video, and give you some information on how to hike the trail safely, and show you a little bit of why people are coming back to the Smokies. So let's go have some fun. Shortly after you leave the Rainbow Falls Trailhead parking lot, you come to an intersection in the trail. We're going to be taking the right here down Old Sugarlands Trail to get to the trailhead for Bullhead. You may remember that I went hiking right before the National Park shut down, and you remember there wasn't a whole lot of green. Here we are just a few weeks later, and we just have greenery and some wildflowers. It really has changed completely from the last time we came out. All right, so we've covered about a half of a mile to get from the Rainbow Falls Trailhead parking lot to the opening of Bullhead Trail. Bullhead Trail, like I said, goes all the way up to the top of Mount LeConte, and we're not going to make it that far today. We'll see how far we do make it. I hope at least to get to the pulpit. The trail is about 6.5 miles long, and it is rated as a moderate trail. If you're not in shape, like me, it's going to be more challenging than moderate. There is a lot of uphill climbs. Nothing really steep, but it's constant and it does wear on you. So if you're going to tackle this trail, then you want to make sure of a couple of things. One, if you're not in super great shape, maybe choose another trail. If you really want to hike the trail, plan on taking it slow. Know your limits, and when you get too tired, just turn around and come back down. Remember, the further in you go, the further back out you have to go. A lot of people believe that coming back down a trail is easier, and for some people that's true, but for a lot of people coming down is just as hard. You're just working a different set of muscles. So again, take it easy. If you get tired, stop, take a rest. This is supposed to be fun, not an endurance contest. Stop, take a look around, look at some of the scenery. There's some gorgeous views while we're headed up here. And you've already seen, I've caught some wildflowers already. So there's lots to see and do. The other thing to be aware of is that the weather will change in a heartbeat. In just the last half mile coming up here, I've gone through a small drizzle, then the clouds broke and it had some beautiful sunlight. We've got some hazy sunlight right now, and it's just going to change the whole way. So make sure you've got some sort of raincoat with you. Some foul weather gear of some kind. I'm wearing a flannel shirt now. It's in the 50s, but I'm starting to break a sweat. So I am dressed in layers, so I will come down to a t-shirt here in a little while. But just have everything you need with you. And that includes water and some snacks. I've got a hydration bag with me. I've also got some snacks, so I am well prepared. The last thing that I want to remind everybody is when you're going hiking, usually you want to have a buddy with you. Whether you've got a buddy or not, let somebody at home know your itinerary. Let them know when you expect to get back. Let them know what trail you're going to be on. And then stick to that plan. If you make any changes, you need to let that safety person back home know. Because if something happens, you get injured on the trail, you sprain an ankle, something like that where you can't get yourself back out again easily, it's always good that somebody knows where you are so they know where to look. All right, so we're ready to head up the trail, and you can see there's some obstructions in the way. We'll have to work our way around those. We've seen lots of different signs about staying away from burned trees because they're obviously unstable. They can collapse, so you don't want to hang around those. And as always, we stay on the trail. Getting off the trail, you're going to cause erosion, and that's just going to cause damage, and we don't want that. So let's head up the trail and see what we can see. So we've come up the trail just a little ways, and you can already see that we've got some issues. Trees across the trail. We've got our warning sign here telling us to be careful because this is an area, the trail does go through areas that the wildfire went through. So we're just going to be very careful and take our time. So it's time to make our first jump out of the woods and get into one of our overlooks. Now, 2 years ago, this would have been just dark, deep forest, but because of the fires that came through here, it gives us a little bit of an overlook. So let's see what we'll see when we get around the bend. So before we got around the bend, I wanted to take a minute and just show you how with the additional sunlight, we're getting a lot more new growth, which includes some nice spring wildflowers. So even in the midst of all the damage, we're getting to see some new life grow, and that's pretty nice thing. And we'll see that more. We've made it around the corner, and now we can look out where there used to be towering trees. Now there's some scrub, some burned out trunks, a lot of new growth, but we can also begin to see a little bit of the valley and a little bit of the surrounding mountains. Lots of damage that was done, but a lot of new growth as well. One of the things that I really love about Bullhead Trail is how quickly the environment around you can change. From scrub to luscious green forest, wildflowers, and then spectacular views. They're all just a step away. All right, here we are. We're up on the Bullhead Trail, and here's one of the overlooks I was telling you about. And you can see, even on kind of a cloudy day, the view is still magnificent. I'm looking down here and I'm seeing everything, and it just looks gorgeous. I've already had one close encounter with the deer. You saw that earlier. Heard something else moving up through the brush. Couldn't see what it was, but it definitely wanted to get away from me, so I'm happy to let it. Going to keep going up the trail now and see what else we can see. We've gone another few thousand feet down the trail, gained some more elevation, and now you can really begin to see why I love this trail so much. The trees look like a river of green flowing down between the mountains. But then again, you also see the devastation from the wildfires and all the burned out trees on the windward side of the hills. And then far off in the distance, there's Gatlinburg. But you seem so far removed while it's up here. When the signs say that you may come up against obstructions on the trail, they're not joking. So be prepared to do a little climbing and get your ninja on. And way, way, way down there is the Space Needle in Gatlinburg. I'm a little out of breath. One of the things about hiking a trail here in the Smokies is no matter how far you climb, there's always more up. And Bullhead Trail has a lot of up. Alright, found a nice little spot here on the trail to take a break. I'm about 2.5 miles up Bullhead Trail, and we've climbed almost 1,000 feet in elevation, and I'm ready to take a break, go in a little bit further before I turn around and start heading back out. But I wanted to sit for a while in this spot, one, so I didn't get a heart attack, and two, because as I'm looking around, what I'm seeing is a lot of spruce saplings coming up, and the forest is recovering from the wildfires. And you can still see all the burnt out stuff behind me, but as you look around, you can see that there's just new growth everywhere, and the forest is coming back. And it just is a nice reminder that even when times are tough, even when things are going wrong, even when we're struggling like we are right now coming out of this whole COVID-19 thing, to know that life does go on and things will get better, and all we have to do is find a path and walk on it, which is kind of what I've been doing today. So the Smokies are open, and this is just a great place to come out and see the beauty that's around us and forget about the struggles for a while and just enjoy this planet, which is truly, truly awesome. So, like I said, going to go up a little bit further, then I'll turn around and head back towards civilization, unfortunately. If you're worried about social isolation and the parks being overrun, like I said earlier, pick a less used trail. Like I said, Rainbow Falls is a very popular trail, but not many people use Bullhead. Today I've seen 3 different sets of hikers, 1 family of 5 and 2 solo hikers. And that's it. And I've been out here for, like I said, 2.5, almost 3 hours. So you don't have to worry about all the crowds. You don't have to worry about COVID-19 and maintaining social isolation. Pick yourself a trail and set out and enjoy yourself. All right, so let's, I've caught my breath, so I'm ready to move on. So let's do that. Always more obstacles on the trail. Remember that the Smokies have been shut down for several weeks, operating under skeleton staff. So a lot of trails are going to have things like this in the way. So you're just going to have to work your way through them or around them. But if you just look over to the right, obviously, the view is worth it. I look at these rocks and I keep expecting to hear Bilbo Baggins start talking about the eagles are coming. Getting close to the top of Bullhead, and then the trail goes about another 3 miles on to LeConte Lodge. The devastation from the fires is hard to take in. So I'm getting closer to the top of Bullhead. The grade is easing up, so the climb is getting a lot easier. But it's already a little bit after 3, and I'm going to have to turn around pretty soon in order to be off the mountain by about 5:30 or 6. Sunset isn't until 8:30 or so, but with the overcast it's going to get dark before that, so I don't want to push it too much. On the other hand, look at this view. I'm not quite ready to turn around yet. I have reached my goal. Right up here is the pulpit. That's That's where I wanted to get to today. Is cairn of stones. Cairn, C-A-I-R-N, not K-A-R-E-N. Nobody's looking for managers here. We are at the top of the Bullhead Trail. From here it moves on, climbs up to the top of LeConte, but we're not going there today. It's already after 3 o'clock, so I need to turn around and head back. But this was my goal, was to make it here. And now you see why. Look at that. Even with the devastation of the wildfires, the Smokies are still beautiful. And that is the top of Bullhead. We made it. This is the pulpit. This is what my goal was for today, was to get to this point. I've got the summit of Bullhead Mountain right over there, and a gorgeous, gorgeous view of the Smokies over here. Long climb. It's 3:20 right now, 11,159 steps and 1,310 feet of elevation. That's according to my watch. We'll look at the Garmin GPS here in a little bit and see how accurate that is. Basically, from the car to here, it was about a little over 3 miles. Let's look it up. So, according to my handy dandy phone, it says we have gone 3.6 miles to get here. So, it's a good, strong hike. The last bit, I'm going to say about the last quarter to a half mile, it's been pretty easy. Once we hit the peak, we just followed the same elevation, and the climb eased out. Now, when you go further down the trail off this way, that's climbing up to Mount LeConte, and you've got another 1,000 feet of elevation gain that way over about a 3-mile course. So again, that's a pretty strenuous hike, doable, but not today. All right, so we made our goal. Very happy about that. So what's next? Well, I got to get back to the car. So I've got just over 3 miles. Most of it's downhill. Downhill hiking is not as intense on cardio, but it's a lot more effort for your quads. So you're going to feel a burn coming back down, but you know, gravity's working with you instead of against you, so that's good for that. So thanks for coming along. We'll talk more in the studio about how to get to this hike and some of the things to look for and other good stuff like that. But for now, time to go home. See ya.